would 100% recommend Lightbox Homes to friends, family, strangers,
neighbors.
The neighbors have already been talking about you.
Hi, I'm Lena from Lightbox Homes, and I'm interviewing one of my awesome clients. This is Alison.
I'm Allison.
I recently helped her renovate her kitchen.
The Lightbox Home sign showed up in all of these yards in our neighborhood in the Randolph Estates area. And so when we weren't having any luck finding the person that we felt like we had a really good fit with, I was like, they do really good work. I wonder if they would ever work with a private client. And the answer originally was no.
Yeah. So I have to mention that. So we used not to take on retail clients, and now we are taking on consumer work, small projects, kitchen, bathrooms, a cool space in your house, let's say a basement, or so that's where I can bring my design expertise, because again, it really fulfills me.
We had two different design build firms come in and look at the space and tell us what they thought we could do to remodel the kitchen, and told us, gave us proposals for how much it was going to cost. Neither of the two who had come into our house had asked us any questions about the floor, because we had a big load-bearing wall in between the kitchen area and the living and dining area. And this was tile. This was a brick mosaic tile, and then there was hardwood flooring, and nobody had said anything about, well, there's probably going to be a difference in the floor heights there. And I was like, okay, well, I guess so. I don't know anything about that. But part of it was your work in the neighborhood and knowing that this was a ranch house and that this is something that you had encountered before. But no one else had even brought that up as a consideration. And because you thought about it ahead of time, in the proposal you said it could cost this, or it could cost this if we have that problem with the floor.
Some of the things that it's important when you guys decide to look for someone to renovate your house is look for someone that have the experience, have the team, and have the credibility. So we have been in business for over 5 years. We've flipped like over 40 houses. So we have created a very solid team that, and the expertise that have helped us achieve that. So we obviously, are we perfect? Nobody, we're always gonna encounter with things that we don't know, but we're going to always find a solution.
Yeah.
So this is very important that we do a consultation, and the reason why we do it is because there is a brainstorm process through the design, and there is options in any design. So anybody to really have a clear estimate or a clear vision, having that process of designing, okay, this is what I'm going for. I ambition to have the open concept, and a vision to have like my clear, I know the clear island was a big thing for you. You wanted a pantry. So you wanted all the checklists that at the beginning for me to come here and tell you, yes, it can be possible. It is a process for me too. Like I sometimes have my best ideas during the night. So, I like that process of design, ruling out what we're gonna do, thinking, and having that clear vision just speed things up so much and make the process so much smoother. So I cannot stop emphasizing on the fact that having the consultation, it would be really valuable. And the good thing about the consultation, if it gave you some numbers too, that you either, if you will go with me or somebody else, you will have an idea how much you were looking into spending. So we have done this so much that I know how much things cost. So one of the things that we will make sure is when we give you an estimate, we will keep it. We will keep on those numbers.
The reason that consultation is important to me is because I'm not a big picture person. I'm not someone who can visualize with a space what is possible, and you can.
Yeah.
And you could say, okay, these are the options for taking out this wall.
Yeah. I do enjoy the design process so much that for me, it's actually a treat. Like for me, I find joy on finding the solution. So when you brought that up, I was like, you know what? I was very open, and I was like, I've never done this for retail client. This is the way we're going to work. And she just she basically was such a great client that I'm like, yep, I'm going to be doing this. Part of the process was also that we initially prepared a design. So remember, we did a sketch. And one of the challenges is Alison wanted to have a clear countertop, which by the way, I love. And if you see most of my renovations, they're all clear countertop islands. But she didn't want anything in the island, right? So the space was very challenging because we had 2 windows and we really didn't have a space to fit the stove other than sacrificing one of those windows or putting it in the island. And I remember we're struggling, and this is some of the value that we can provide as a company. Is I started doing research, and I started because that's a process that I really enjoy, which is the design process. And I just come up with the idea, and I was like, what do you think if we place the stove in the corner? And you love it. So
yeah, you sent me a picture from Pinterest because you said you're the Pinterest queen.
Yes.
And then you even took the initial blueprint or design that we had and drew, you sent me a hand-drawn photo. Okay, this is what it would be like. And I was like, oh, that's brilliant. I would never have thought of that because I don't have your experience.
Yeah, you said, so most people, they're not going to see it. They're not going to see what it could be until they actually see it. Most people is going to be like Alison, where if they see it, they know I like it. It's great. But just imagine it. It's very ambiguous.
You would notice things that I never noticed too. I mean, that was invaluable. Like noticing that cabinet door was hitting the countertop, that needed to be fixed.
Yeah, the countertop was hitting one of the doors for the pantry. So it's one of those things that I have experienced before in some of my renovations. So having that experience, definitely, I'm sure it helped with the process.
You told me up front, I'm aggressive. And absolutely, I think that was a fantastic trait for you to have. And you use those relationships with people who do outstanding work to help us.
I remember a couple of times Alison freaking out, and I was like, don't worry, it's okay, this happens, it's completely normal. So if you ever guys work with us, I mean, you'll know that I am aggressive in the matter of time frame. I'm an achiever, I like to get stuff done. But bear in mind the collaboration and having a teamwork, it's basic.
But there were also little touches that you did that I didn't even think about, like the Lazy Susan in the corner cabinet.
I love Lazy Susans.
Or, making sure that we could put the pantry over on this wall versus this wall, or, just the little touches that I didn't even think about until they were.
Yeah, exactly. There was a few add-ons that she didn't request, but we normally do it. Like if I put a Lazy Susan, I always do an insert where people can indeed roll and utilize that space to the maximum. And the window was kind of in the way, so we figured it out, and having the render was definitely a big plus. I love the collaboration, so if anybody is looking into renovating a space in your house, understanding that you play a role into making the decisions on time.
Yeah, well, I mean, I had a checklist. I had a to-do list from you right away, and I knew that these were the things that I needed to take care of. And then you would remind me, we have this coming up, framing's next. You're gonna see the plumber on Saturday. It was always that. We texted, we spoke on the phone, you came by. So even on days when I wasn't sure whether or not you were coming by, you would pop in just to make sure that people were there and doing what they were supposed to do. And
one of the things I will try always to do was communicating, and I'm so happy that you were happy with that, because I tend to be very involved with the projects. So I will always try to come once, or sometimes depending on the frame time of the work, I would come sometimes twice or 3 times a day just to make sure. We couldn't find the countertop with my provider, so she really wanted those countertops. So she chopped around. We did the research. I mean, she did all the research. She brought it up to me, and she finally picked it. And when they're supposed, we were already scheduled like for a week already. And when they were supposed to show up, nobody showed up. And I remember she being really upset. And I was like, you know what? These things happen in construction. So don't worry. Let me reach out to this person. And having that experience also helped, like for me to understand that, yeah, some people screw up. In construction, it is important to recognize, don't freak out. There is always a solution.
It's all about doing what you say you're going to do. Showing up when you're going to show up, making the trains run on time, all of the different cliches, all of that happened with you. And even to the point where there was someone that I had because of the countertops, and they didn't show up, and I was upset about it, and she was like, it's okay, and I was like, but you have spoiled me. Like I just expect people to show up when they say they're going to show up, and you did that. Another important thing that you brought us were your relationships.
Thank you.
With trusted people who did wonderful work, who showed up when they said they were going to show up. That is like 90% of the battle sometimes, is people saying and doing what they're going to do.
Integrity is something that we take very serious, and as our work is our reputation. So if you know us, you know that we will, even if it's not our fault, my philosophy is it is my problem. So, I always approach it with that matter. And communication, I always try to be super clear about what was your responsibility, what was my part. And, if you're looking for a solid project, we can help you.
I have always thought that having a woman as a GC, contractor, project manager would be wonderful.
So would you recommend us again?
Absolutely. I mean, if we had the money, we'd have you here doing this stairs, but